Stuka Joe here. Last year I attended Consimworld Expo for the very first time. I had a blast. I played some war games and filmed some videos about the con. And last year I met Steve Lieske, with whom I played 2 Area Impulse World War II games about the same battle. Stalingrad Verdun on the Volga and Turning Point Stalingrad. This year at Consimworld Expo we played Crusade and Revolution, and we played a game which I enjoyed very much. A game designed by Steve, which he was playtesting at the con. I even made a video about it. The game is Fallujah Fury, the Second Battle of Fallujah, designed by Steve Lieske, and the video starts right now. I'm here with Steve Lieske. I just played a game of Fallujah Fury. This is the Second Battle of Fallujah, and Steve is the designer of the game.
Well, I'd have to say I'm an aspiring designer. This is my first try, but it's been a lot of fun. So this is a game on the Second Battle of Fallujah, certainly the largest battle in the Iraq War, and it's an area impulse game. And in fact, the system used is similar to some of the old Stalingrad, Turning Point Stalingrad systems with area impulse, but with some changes to model the asymmetric warfare, the difference between the coalition forces with all their firepower and maneuverability and the fanaticism of the insurgents.
Okay, tell us first about the map.
Okay, well, the map is started with a satellite picture of the city of Fallujah, and then over that the areas are overlaid in white, so it's area impulse breaking into different areas. And there's a number of features shown. The green areas, in fact the green symbols, indicate where mosques were that were significant in the battle. Typically they were centers of resistance, often food and arms caches, aid stations for the insurgents. So those are important. Also they're important because there was cultural and political sensitivity among the Iraqis. So even though for the Second Battle of Fallujah there were not many civilians present, the coalition had to use caution around the mosques. You couldn't just level them, so there are rules that include incorporating Iraqi units in operations in mosque areas. And let's see, other aspects of it. The entry zones are shown here. In the second battle, the coalition forces came in from the north. So this is the end. So as you can see, when Jose and I played, he came quite a long way, but the coalition forces started in these 2 entry zones and came into the city.
Tell us about the forces, because this is a very asymmetrical game in terms of the opposing forces.
Yeah, so if you look at, there's multiple colors you'll see here. The coalition forces consisted of a heavily reinforced Marine division, so the dark brown units are part of the 1st Marine Division. The green units are U.S. Army. There were essentially 2 Army battalions attached to the Marines, and the blue units are Iraqi units. And again, some of the importance there is to do with the areas around the mosques, and also in some areas the special forces for the Iraqis were very effective in supporting the coalition operations. On the insurgent side, there's kind of 3 types of units. There's what looks like a standard infantry unit. We're calling them Fedayeen. These are the hardcore trained fighters, maybe a group of 100 fighters, essentially a company. These are the strongest insurgent units, and in the heavy terrain, the dense area of the old city, they can be fairly difficult to root out. Mm-hmm. There are also units marked with a C. These are cadres, and these would be the leadership elements. And beside the units themselves, they have the ability to organize these M militia units. These are very weak units, and they really represent very irregular ad hoc forces, snipers, people firing at advancing coalition troops from a building, whatever it may be. So they're very weak, but they can be very effective in slowing down or surprising the coalition units and causing some problems.
Now, this is a game that, how many turns?
It lasts for 1 week, so
Okay.
this is one of those situations where realistically there was no doubt that the coalition forces could take the city and could eliminate all of the insurgents. The question is, can they do it without taking too many casualties? Because the coalition, of course, was sensitive to that. Could they do it in a time frame? Because with these intense military operations, there's a lot of media attention on it, and at some point, in fact, that was what ended the first Battle of Fallujah. Was the media attention became so severe that the U.S. just stopped. So I guess I kind of liken. So while you play the insurgents, in one sense, you know you're losing tactically. You can't win the battle, but perhaps you could win strategically. Maybe a situation I'd compare it to is the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. I mean, militarily, the Tet Offensive was a disaster for the Vietnamese, but politically, it virtually almost knocked the U.S. out of the war. So you can be playing for for a political objective that could be a success.
You're play testing this game. Were you able to play it with various players here at Consimworld?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun all week. I've had a number of people give it a try, either playing the whole game, like Joe did here, or playing even just a few turns to get a feel for it, reading the rules, looking it over. And so I've gotten a lot of really good feedback, which has been very helpful. I got a few things to think about. I'm going to go back and consider those, but I think the reaction's been pretty good, so I've been pretty pleased. And it's just been a lot of fun.
Yes, well, I want to congratulate you. This is your first design, right?
Yep.
I hope that it finds a publisher very, very soon.
Hope so. That'd be fun.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.